Welcome to another Secret Influence TV interview. I'm Nick Ronald, and Secret Influence is a YouTube channel to help people communicate more powerfully and to influence more effectively, because influencing is one of the most important skills in life. If you can't influencing people, then you're not going to have much control over how your life develops. If you go for a job interview, if you can't influence the people interviewing, you're not going to get that job. And if you want a promotion, you're going to influence your boss or HR to give you that promotion. It's the same business. If you can't influence your customers to buy a product or service, you're not going to be in business for long. Same with relationships, every aspect of your life, influencing is a key skill. So on my channel, I share tips about influencing, and I interview people who either inspire or influence. As you know, I believe that everyone has a story to tell and everyone has expertise to share, and the more we can do that, the better the world will be. So today I'm very excited to be talking to Will Gerrard. He's a NLP practitioner, empowerment coach, hypnotherapist, counselor, and motivational speaker. So will be talking in a bit about what he does and how he helps people. So welcome, Will, Secret Influence TV.
Thank you, Nick.
So I'm just going to start off with a few sort of just questions just to get to know you, and before we sort of start with the actual interview. So what do you have a favourite quote in life, Will?
A quote I like, it's only short but brief. It's live for today in the present moment, because tomorrow hasn't arrived and yesterday is gone.
I love that, because my favourite quote is carpe diem. This is obviously seize the day. So that fits with me. I'm very much about taking action and enjoying the moment. Is there anyone in life you admire?
I would have to say Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. A long time ago, when he was breaking into the film business and things, I used to do a lot of weights, and I bought his biography. And him in life is all about visualization and goal setting.
Okay.
And the way he first walked into a gym and fell in love with bodybuilding, and from that day on, he visualized and wrote down that he would become the best bodybuilder in the world. And he achieved that. And then when his bodybuilding career finished, he said, right, I'm going to go into acting and become a Hollywood star. And he took the same process he did for bodybuilding into acting. And that's he went from there, and he achieved that goal too. And it's the same as in politics when he went to governor of California. And that's why I admire him most, because his goal setting and his visualization techniques and what he achieved in life from being nothing.
I mean, I think you can't argue that for someone who moved to America and didn't speak the language to become win the bodybuilding sort of awards internationally, and then become a international film star, and then to eventually become the governor of California. I mean, you can't argue that's incredible accomplishments. But yeah, not someone I would automatically think of. But yeah, no, that's a great. Thanks for sharing that, Will. My last sort of quick fire question is more: do you have a favourite book or film?
My favourite book is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Okay, don't know that one.
It's all about presence and being in the present moment, and not worrying about tomorrow and not dwelling on the past. It's been in the here and now, which what life is about. Because a bit about what I do, people become anxious when they start to worry about the future too much. What's going to happen a few weeks down the line, a few months down the line. And if they dwell on the past too much and maybe a bad life experience, that's when they can become pretty depressed. But it's about being in the present moment, being in the here and now, taking each day as it comes, and living for this second. Okay, great. No, thanks for sharing that. I'll add it to my watch list. I love books, though. It's always good to get a tip about a good book to read. Just actually one more question. Where do you live? Because I interview people from around the world and all around the country. So whereabouts do you live, Phil? I'm from a little seaside town in North Yorkshire called Scarborough.
Oh, Scarborough. Okay, great.
Yeah.
It's pouring down the rain today. I don't know what's like in Scarborough, but
same.
Okay, so before we talk about what you do and how you help people. Everyone has a story to tell. We all our experiences make us who we are. They give us our motivation, and we learn from our experiences. We hope we learn from experiences. And I know that you've got an incredibly powerful story, about what's happened in your life, and you've been through some challenges. And I just wondered if it's incredible. I've heard it's incredibly motivating, and inspiring. So just wondered if you could share it. What led you to where you are, and what sort of the challenges you had in your life. If you'd be happy to share that.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, so just share a couple of stories if I may. Just
Sure.
Start off from when I was 5 years old. Life was good. I come from a big family. I had 4 brothers. I was quite close, to be fair, but even though there's quite a big age gap, years went on. Like I say, they're a bit older than me, and they started drinking alcohol. But it was pretty close before that. We used to go around the local estate, because I come from a council estate. Okay. And I'd do what things that boys do: knock a door on, cause a bit of mischief, have a laugh, things like that. Yeah. And as they got older, they started drinking, alcohol between them.
Sure.
And because they're brothers, there was a lot of, shall I say, what the elder brother wanted to be the alpha dog.
Okay.
So it caused tension between them with alcohol. And it started fights between them. And they would come back to my mum's house and start fighting there. The house would get smashed up, and a particular brother he'd set up on my mum and start beating her up, and I was witnessing this. I was watching this as time went on. This went on for a number of years, to a point where I was 9 years old, and it was affecting me in that way. I was self-harming.
Oh, I got it. That's tough.
I was self-harming, and I still wouldn't tell anybody what I was doing. I'd say I fell over at the park.
Sure.
That's how I got the cuts on my hand.
Right.
This went on for a long time, but you have to have that limiting belief that you have to keep going, even at that young age. Yeah, it went on for a lot of years. And
did you share it? Or did anyone know? You're going for these. You were self-harming. Did it was like you kept yourself, or did anyone, your friends or family, aware of it? Or
no, I kept it all to myself. I was bottling everything down. Nobody knew. And when I was questioned about the cuts on my hands, I'd say I fell over at a local park. And there was a few glass bottles being broken.
Sure.
This happened for a lot of years, and you have to have that limiting belief in your mind that you're not going to end up like that. And it created friction. We grew apart, as you can imagine.
Sure, of course.
And then it come to a head on my 18th birthday party. 2 of my brothers came to the party, and 2 didn't. The party, it was a good night. It was a good party.
Sure. Up
until late at night. A lot of my friends left, and it was just me, one of my friends,
right,
and 2 brothers left. One thing led to another, over a stupid arm wrestle, to be honest.
Okay.
And one of my brothers punched the table, in drink. Alcohol was a fuel of that. And my other brother took offence to that, didn't like it. He threw across the kitchen table, started fighting.
Sure.
And my other brother, we lived on a council estate, and we was all, lived near each other. One of my brothers went across to his house, come back across the road with a knife. And I said to my brother that was still in the house, he's coming across with a knife. You better go home. Please just go.
Sure.
Brothers being brothers, alcohol fueled, Dutch courage. Come into the house, and a brawl ensued, and I saw my brother stab my other brother, in front of me.
Yeah, no, it's shocking. I mean, that's nothing you're never going to forget.
From then on, that's obviously, as you can imagine, for years and years, I started getting drinking, and I didn't know what I was going through at the time.
Sure.
I was getting into fights and things with alcohol.
Sure.
I woke up one morning and I thought, right, I'm not going to be the same like that.
Yeah.
And that's when I went to seek help. Took a good few years because doctors just throw antidepressants at you.
Of course.
I'm not blocking them, but it's okay taking them. But if you haven't worked through the trauma, then it'll come back.
Of course, no, just that hides it and covers it.
And after 6 years, that's when I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder.
Right. Okay. Was it helpful to have that diagnosis in that way? Did it at least okay, this is it. This is what I'm suffering from. Now I can address it.
It was a big relief, yeah. It's about some depression and more self-harming going through that.
Sure.
The way that psychotherapist says you have post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah. And
then to go from there, it's massive relief.
And how did you? And how did you? I mean, that sort of experience of not anyone, anyone would struggle to move on for that. I mean, would you say that that sort of tough upbringing made you it's always has made you very determined, you know what I mean, because that's keep going through that. I mean, that, obviously some people just would get stuck at that level, not be able to sort of move on. How did you?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, you see. A lot of people, when I speak about my story and things, they say, God, you could have turned to drugs or alcohol, like a lot of people would have. And that's what you have to realise. That's why I woke up one morning and thought, I'm not going to be like that. I want this sorting out. But it's up to you. You have to 100% be certain that you want to go through that and relive everything again to come out the other side and become a better person for it.
Sure. And I know, life is full of challenges and, ups and downs. And I know, for some of your story, you had some later challenges with, one of your businesses. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but it does show, obviously, life, like even when you get one challenge, that is life. There's always challenges, some worse than others. But would you? And again, that that I don't really want to have you share that, but that could again knock you, sideways, knock you off your perch, and after your first set of challenges, get through that, and that's happened. Do you briefly want to? Are you happy to share that? What happened there?
Yeah, of course, Sam. Yeah. Like I say, I've worked in construction. I still do some now. But it was after I had my first experience with post-traumatic stress disorder that that's when I first realised I wanted to help people in my mid-20s.
Sure.
Like I say, I wasn't ready then, though, back then. So life goes on. Worked in construction. I set up my own business, which was great, being my own boss and not having to listen to other people.
Sure.
Tell you what to do and where to go, give you time limits. That's why I set up my own business, in roofing. As a roofing contractor.
Right.
He said, which was great, I was my own boss. Hard at first setting up a new business. It always is, for money.
Of course.
It wasn't just about the money, it's about being your own boss and having the freedom.
Sure.
Which is great. And then after a while, my partner asked to do my accounts, which I agreed to do, because I trusted her. It's fair enough. And, a few months passed and I had a good feeling that something wasn't right with the accounts, but, I couldn't prove it myself. I'm not an accountant. And, all I wanted about maths at school
was like a gut feeling.
Prove that, she was very clever. And that short while after that, she became very controlling.
Right.
Trying to tell me what to do,
where
I should go. When I go with my friends, things like that, and got time to be back.
Sure.
I should be doing chores, and we don't all do chores, fair enough, in a relationship. It's part of it, but when you've been controlled, it's it's a
of course, and often you don't. Yeah, those things can be sort of not obvious at first. I think when there's that control behavior.
Yeah, well, as you can imagine, I became very unhappy.
Sure.
To the point where I left the relationship and got a flat of my own.
Okay.
Instantly happier because of it. At that point, I sought the help of a proper accountant.
Sure. So what happened there?
Yeah, well, so I went on to see her. I did my accounts over. A few days passed and she phoned me up. Can you come round urgently? I said, yeah, of course I can. I was alarmed. Went round and went into her office, sat there. So I get straight to the point. I don't know what you've been doing with your money, but they're a mess. That's when I said I haven't done nothing. I'm quite good with money.
Sure.
And that's when I admitted to and explained that my ex-partner had been doing my accounts.
Yeah.
That's what she said. Yeah, I can tell someone's fiddled with them, but she's been very clever.
Right. Sure. No.
Yeah.
Must be shocked.
Yeah, it was a shock. And straight away she went, I don't know how to tell you this, but your business is finished. You're bankrupt. Yeah, so we had sunk and I went home. One thing led to another. Inevitable happened. No money to pay the rent. I was kicked out after a short while. I had a white builder's van. That was my home for the next 6 weeks, unbeknown to me.
Right.
That first night in the van, you think, how's it come to that? And as a man, you're thinking, I'm not going to ask for help. It's a matter of pride.
Of course, no, definitely.
And embarrassment in the same breath. I allowed myself to not see what was going on behind my back.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think it's one of the hardest things, asking for help, and particularly, like I said, male pride, and that, that is one of the. I think mental health issues are so big, but particularly men is, it's hard asking for help and admitting, we're struggling. So what happened then, Will?
Yeah, after a while, I became hungry. Yeah, well, I had a few tools that I sold. I had £1,000 worth of tools that I sold for £100. I've become that desperate.
Right.
That didn't last long. I only bought a bit of food. And I was bathing in a local river called Scorby Beck around where I live. And I literally looked on Google about plant life to eat, around the local town.
Wow.
It is, looking back now, it's funny, but I was eating seaweed, when tide went out, and literally dandelions and daisies. It's just for some food and stuff.
Sure. I mean, I think it is easy to laugh now when you tell stories or hear these stories, but yeah, I think, the truth is, I mean, clearly, to be that desperate is a situation. I mean, it's.
Yeah, it is.
And how did you get it? How did you turn things around then, Will?
Well, I say after about 6 weeks, I was at my lowest point. I was sat in van one night, and I thought I'd had enough. I couldn't think of anything, a way out. And I still went and asked for help. So I come from a big family, but we're not close anymore. My parents are deceased, so I couldn't ask them.
Right.
And I put an hose pipe from exhaust into the van.
Sure.
I started engine up, and I thought, that's it. And after a short while, I just thought of my children. I had that limiting belief that my children are going to be left fatherless.
Sure.
You have to carry on.
Sure.
So I turned engine off after a short while, sputtering, and jumped out, shouting at myself, what are you doing? You're stronger than that. Cried myself to sleep that night in the van, and then the next day I went for a walk in town, and I was bumped into a friend that I've known for a long time. And he said, Will, you look terrible. And that's when I explained to him that I've been homeless for 6 weeks, and that's when he said, you idiot. Why didn't he tell me?
Sure.
And he said, you can stop on my sofa. There's a spare room.
Sure.
Things went from there. That was a step back up, really. I had to go on benefits for a while to get some money back in bank.
Right.
Once I did that, I got back into accommodation, and it was another step back up.
Slowly.
Yeah. And there was no roofing at the time. I had quite a few businesses for jobs. I ended up going for anything. I ended up working at a funeral home.
Wow. Different.
Yeah, it was only minimum wage, but yeah, just for a short while. And after about 6 weeks, I bumped into a friend that just started at a roofing company, and I was looking for a roofer.
Sure.
So, okay. For more money. And that's how it became. I started to sort my debts out. And
I mean, genuinely, Will, it's incredibly, emotive story, and it's good. Thank you for sharing it, because those stories are tough when we think of things that were really those low points, and it can be hard to share it. But I think one of the things we as men, particularly, but generally, we don't do is share our stories, and we're struggling, and so I think more of us need to do it. So it is appreciated. When did you? I mean, obviously, after you start to pick yourself up and get some work. When did you think you no longer wanted to do the sort of building type work, and you wanted to work, be a coach or therapist? When did you come to that?
It was a good few years ago. I set about trying to make that path become a reality, but like I said, the time wasn't right then. But after I become homeless, that's when I thought, right, this is the time now. I actually felt it.
Right.
I was seeking out courses. I did quite a lot of live trainings like we do now on Speak Star Leaders.
Sure.
But with counselling skills.
Okay.
And I did a NLP practitioner course, live training with a coach called David Key at Auspicium.
Okay.
I'm also registered with the American Board of NLP Practitioners. Hypnotherapy, I did a 30-hour training on that.
Okay.
Also. And then I just started, along with the courses, I'm just picking out books, as many books as I can on, psychology and coaching and counselling skills, self-help books also to go along with it.
Okay, interesting.
As many as I could, just to go the qualifications, really.
Yeah, no, I know.
I set the wheels in motion. I put a website up and social media. I started telling people what I'm doing, and it went from there.
Okay, that's quite. I think you're clearly very motivated, because learning is one of the things I think we never stop learning, and you look at most successful people, they're people who never stop reading or learning or listening to things, and clearly you're someone who does that. One thing I've wondered, Will, is it's hard, it must be hard after your experiences not to lose trust in people or lose your motivation in life. How do you keep motivated? Do you have any personal ways that you keep yourself motivated? How do you keep yourself?
Yeah, it is that sometimes with humanity, you can either hate it, or you can let the experiences shape you and become a better person for it.
Sure.
Sometimes when you look at the news, well, I don't watch the news very often, but when you hear sometimes about what happenings in the world, about humanity, the genocide and everything like that, and you look and you wonder, is it worth it? You have to keep going. Like I say, I want to help as many people as I can. You can't let them define your experience like that. Personal self, I do a lot of meditation.
Okay.
Calm my mind. I do affirmations every morning in my mind before I wake up.
Okay.
Plenty of time in nature, and just being able to talk to people now. Whereas years ago, I'd have shut off. I wouldn't have spoke to anybody.
Sure.
Plus, I've just started running again, and exercise is always great.
Of course.
About keeping your mind calm.
Right. Okay. There's some good tips there. meditation, positive affirmations, and exercise. Yeah. How would you, I think with a lot of, obviously, last year of COVID, there's been a big increase in mental health challenges and people struggling economically and with their jobs, and a whole knock-on effect of that. And I wondered, how do you suggest any ways for? I think there must be a lot of people who get frustrated, but then it's the key is to how to stop their frustration growing into sort of anger or depression. Do you have any sort of suggestions for ways to sort of catch it at that first stage? Is it a matter of awareness or talk? Do you say talking to someone, or what? Because frustration is quite normal, but obviously what we don't want to do is it to grow into something uncontrollable, like anger or depression, which is obviously gets more serious.
Yeah, I think it all starts in your mind. Like I said, COVID's it's affected a lot of us. And if you're on furlough and things and you sat at home, you've got more time to think. It's about keeping your mind busy.
Okay.
That's what it's about, keeping your mind busy and speaking to people. But if you find yourself becoming angry and frustrated, just take a step back, just take some deep breaths, just slow your thoughts down.
Sure. Okay.
It does work. Breathing is very important. And then trying to change your mind. If you find yourself worrying about things, because in reality, 99% of the things that you worry about don't happen. True. And everything in life's only temporary. No matter how hard things are in life, it's only a temporary thing. And just reflect your mind. Think of next year is people. I'm worrying about this. I'm worrying about that, money or health or anything like that. Just change your thinking when you start worrying about things. Change your thinking. Think of happy memories. Try to overturn that thinking into happy memories and building your state back up.
I think there's what makes me think is of understand the bigger picture and being grateful in that sense that for someone like yourself who's been through that that real struggle where you lost everything, a low point, you can appreciate I'm sure what you've got, and a bigger picture is that may not have much at points, but you've been to the worst point kind of thing, and maybe that's a wider thing of people sometimes, for people who have been to that real low point, they all can always know, well, luckily I'm not there. So it's appreciation and gratitude for what we do have. Just wondering who is there any like everyone has their ideal customer or client they want to work with or they can help. For you, is there particular challenges or problems you work with or you'd like to help? In that sense, is it it's a particular.
Yeah, I like to people that have set a new goal, like they want to go for a new business,
okay,
or promotion, anything like that, especially where negative limiting beliefs are concerned. So I work a lot on that timeline about limiting beliefs, especially in coaching.
Sure.
Especially on the therapy side, anybody really, I like to help, and I can help people with PTSD, I've been through that myself, depression, anxiety, phobias. I do a wide array. My knowledge is, because I've learned so much over these past 4 or 5 years, my knowledge expands. And that my ideal customers are anyone that's been rock bottom, a new business or anyone, especially limiting beliefs and the
Sure.
goals. But if somebody comes to me and says, I just feel stuck in life, for example, that's when I bring out a technique called the wheel of life. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, that's,
to perhaps explain briefly what it is. People
yeah,
don't
it's
know.
the wheel of life. It's like spirituality, your work life, relationships, health, finances, all put on certain points on a wheel with a bar from 0 to 10.
Sure.
Say to the client, okay, right, so you feel stuck. So what, out of 0 to 10, how do you feel about your relationships? And I'll put a mark, just say, for example, 5.
Okay.
Health might put a 2. Career, I might put an 8. So they're at different ends of the spectrum. And the lowest ones will say, right, your career is fine at 8. Relationships and your health are on 2. So we'll work on that.
Okay.
And go from there. So you work on the lowest ones. And it helps them be sort of
prioritization to get, goal setting, maybe.
their own problems and helps them come up with their own solutions to how the way forward they go with certain questioning and certain coaching models.
Okay. I think that thing of like, what do I do now? I think actually, people don't have a clue what to do. I think it is quite a common thing. I think, when I was made redundant for the 4th time, and probably heard my story, and I was buying a new house, got my first baby, and I struggled to get a job, and I thought, well, what do I do now? I literally reviewed all my options, and I've been in this. Sometimes you do a certain thing for a long period of time, a certain job or a certain career, and then that doesn't work out, and you're like, so I think actually that that sort of point where people just don't know what to do, and it's clarifying it's quite common. I think especially in the last year with so many people made redundant and business closing, people just don't know. It's that starting point of, well, what do I do? So it's interesting, the wheel of life. It's a good concept. I've heard. I didn't know exactly how it's made up, but I was aware of it. With so public speaking, so we'll talk about briefly. So obviously we've spoken together on a few events. Is obviously a lot of public speaking is engaging with your audience, and doing that by sharing stories. Do you enjoy public speaking? Is it something you'd like to do more of? And how long have you been? So a few questions here, and how long have you been doing the public speaking side?
Oh, well, before I went to Speakers Are Leaders the other year workshop. I was only little bits and pieces, but just sort of like touch the surface, that's all. And then I thought to myself, well, speaking, I'd seen it a long time, and I knew what it was about.
Okay.
And that's when I saw Harry's thing pop up, Speakers Are Leaders. And I thought, I'd like to go to a proper workshop, and get a proper idea of what it's about. Because it goes with coaching and helping to motivate people too, as well as the coaching side of it. And it just went from there, really. Like, first time in London, I was scared to death.
Okay.
I was there on my own, 5-hour drive. I was there on my own for the weekend.
Yeah, no.
And, and that workshop, Harry's getting us to read off scripts. It's Harry Sardinas, that is. I was
very
petrified.
much a face your fears experience, and it's very immersive, which I think is particularly hard for some people, but I think it's certainly for me. I've had that experience where when I start public speaking, the only way I would ever public speak is if I was forced to go on stage like that. Otherwise, I would just sat in the back. And so, just looking ahead, then, what's the year ahead? What's your what are your plans? Do you have any obviously restrictions pending? But do you plan? You're going to concentrate on obviously building a coaching business, doing more public speaking. Do you have any plans for next year? Anything particularly like to achieve?
Yeah, just to help my business grow. In the coaching and therapy capacity, also online courses, also like to do it. And plus, definitely more speaking. Definitely more speaking. I've had that fixed, definitely more learning and speaking too.
And a lot of the sort of what you've learned in NLP and hypnotherapy and teaching or coaching. Do you think mindset in this way? It's it's the developing a positive mindset, and being resilient, and that sort of development of that positive sort of mindset is something. Once you've got that, that can apply to business challenges, relationship, anything. Does that make sense? So it's not irrelevant whether you're almost, because I sometimes think it's irrelevant whether you're struggling in a job or struggling in relationships. I mean, obviously, it's kind of, it all comes down to mindset, and it all comes down to, your confidence, and you can apply that in a way. Do you think the same? Do you think a lot of it's down to confidence? And
yeah, definitely. Yes, it's all about mindset. Like I said, it's a work of a lot of limiting beliefs, and if you have that limiting belief that you can't do something, then it's so be it.
Sure.
It's what your mindset, a mind and body connection. But once you get rid of those limiting beliefs that you can do something, and you start to build that confidence, then you can go forward and conquer your goals.
Okay.
A lot of people talk about, positivity. It's a lot of rubbish, but it isn't. Yes, it's impossible to be positive all the time, because that's not how life works. It's about balance.
Sure.
You have to have that negative with the positive, but the key is to stay more positive than negative.
Okay.
So that's a lot of what I teach too. And delimiting beliefs, anybody can achieve anything they want in life. I believe that. It's all about your mindset.
And would you say, so like, positive affirmations, I mean, I do that, I believe in it, but do you think part of it is setting sort of positive habits, whether it's, habits in the way you think, or habits in the way you live your day? But a lot of it is about habit forming, and I think affirmations is almost related to that, because if you get into the habit of thinking positive in the morning and saying affirmations, and you do that every day, then that's part of it. Do you think that habits in a way is one aspect of it? Would you say it's been a lot of?
Oh, definitely, yeah, definitely becomes habitual, yeah. Especially the way mindset's concerned. Is if you want to go something new or change a habit, so they say it takes on average 21 days to form the habit, but 60 to 90 days to cement it. So it's the first 21 days that are crucial to forming that, that new habit or belief or that new goal.
So Will, I'll share your details below the video. But just if anyone wanted to contact you, what's the best way? What's the best way for people?
Yeah, I do have a website. It's willgerrard76.wixsite/1975. Plus, I'm also on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, just Will Gerrard Coach or Will Gerrard Coach and Therapist. Just any platforms like that.
Okay.
Or if you want to contact me directly, it's my numbers 07709 564 370, and my email address willgerrard76@gmail.com.
Thank you, Will. I'll put those in there, underneath as well. So we're coming towards the end of our chat, but I think anyone watching us agree that incredibly powerful story, and obviously I genuinely admire for not only just getting through, but that something like that, but obviously wanting to help others and get to where you are. I mean, you've obviously got an incredibly tough time, and it's very inspiring to hear it, and wanting to help other people after that is very commendable. Just fine. I always ask people, is there any final tips you want to share? This is open to you. Anything you want to share? Yeah,
just like to say, everything in life, no matter what you're going through or how difficult at the moment, it is only temporary. You will come out of it a better person. If you find yourself worrying, dwelling on things, just trying little things in life. Just try talking to your family or your partner. Definitely talking. Go for a walk in nature. Read. Just take deep breaths and just try and focus on something else. Just try and take your mind off it. If you feel anxious, even sat in your front room, if you feel anxious, just try naming things in your front room, just to take your mind off the anxiety, such as, that's a TV, that's a plant. It may sound silly, but these little tips, they help.
I know.
Experience.
Great tips, Will. No, definitely. And I think we sometimes overcomplicate things and think and actually the little things can make a difference. And I think you're right. Distracting yourself and appreciating things, and living in the moment. Or these little things that seem quite obvious and simple actually do make the biggest difference. And sometimes it is almost as simple, obvious things which we need to start doing. So Will, I mean, thanks again for your time. Do contact Will. If you want to interested in this coaching. or having him as a speaker. I've spoken alongside the stage of him. He's got a powerful story, and he's a great coach. So this is Secret Influence TV. Do subscribe if you want to be notified of any other interviews with other influencers or people who have powerful, motivating stories to share. And that is it. So thank you, Will.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.